with all the foreclosures and vacancies in Park Forest, how will the 3% tax increase affect these numbers?
Okay, thank you. First of all, on the water rates, it's 9 cents a gallon. Compare that to the water you buy in the store. I'm sorry, 1 cent a gallon. It's 0.9 cent per gallon that we pay. You know, less than 1 penny a gallon for water, and it's high quality water. Compare that with what you would pay if you got a jug of water. Now, on foreclosures, right now we're working in a situation with the Habitat for Humanity. It was another one of the programs that was presented Thursday morning at the business breakfast. Habitat for Humanity is working with us to rehab several of the homes that have gone into foreclosure, where in fact they're vacant. We're not talking about dispelling anybody from their homes, but where in fact they're vacant homes, to get them so that they can be back on the market. Now, in terms of the tax increase, our levy increase this year of 3%, it's been pretty much consistent for the last 10 years. And it basically just deals with the increases that are mandated to us by the state of Illinois for the fire and police pension funds. Now, the state is finally starting to correct the problems with fire and pension funding, but they mandate municipalities to put a certain amount of money into those funds and to fund them at a certain level. That requires cash, and we have to take it out of the general fund to do that. And so as a result, our tax increases over the last several years have pretty much been just to stay consistent with what the state is telling us that we have to do. Otherwise, we've kept costs in the village just about at a level point. Now, if in fact an individual is in foreclosure, then there's not going to be any taxes collected on that home, obviously, in that situation. What happens in many cases is that the taxes can be delayed until the home is purchased by somebody else. There's a variety of different kinds of arrangements that can be made. If the home is in foreclosure for a certain period of time and the taxes have not been paid, the village then can go in under what the county calls a no cash bid process. We can acquire that house at no cost. Those are the homes that now we're turning over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Ostenburg. I caution you to watch the timers over here. Mr. Brown, same question.
To answer that question, how would the increase of our taxes affect the vacant and foreclosed home? Pretty simple. It's going to affect it negatively. We have hundreds of vacant homes in Park Forest. Habitat is a good situation, but Habitat only owns 6 houses in Park Forest. So when you do the math and you subtract 6 from hundreds, whether it's 200, 300, or 400, you're not putting a dent in the problem that we have. The taxes went up 3%, but so did the people who work for the village salaries. So those salaries going up have to affect that 3% increase that we receive. So we have to put all of the business out. You remember, this is our village. We family here. No matter what side of town you live on, it's a problem for all of us. The 3% increase in taxes is a negative base across Park Forest. Having hundreds of houses, I just pray that it don't turn into thousands.
Thank you. Now you get a chance to answer this question first. How will the raises in pay for the village workers affect the taxpayers?
I think I just answered that, but let's give it another shot. The increase in the salaries, at this time, every facet, whether it's government, private corporations, or small businesses, everyone is tightening up their belts. Some people are carrying lunches, and some people are just flat out getting laid off. I think at this time, it was just a bad decision to raise salaries, especially in Park Forest. We have to remember one thing about Park Forest. We are the highest taxpayers in Rich Township. In case anyone didn't hear that, let me repeat it. We are the highest paid taxpayers in Rich Township. Now going up another 3% I don't know what will the people do. We have foreclosures that are on the rise. I know people personally have lost homes and are losing homes. And I almost not lost my house, but we are almost prepared to move when our taxes went up. And they're going up again, refinance to get out of trouble this year. And with the 3%, I don't know what we're going to do. My wife is in school now. Hopefully she'll be working by that time and we'll be able to stay resident. But at this time, people are scared to death in fear of, would I be able to afford not my mortgage, but my taxes?
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Ostenburg.
Thank you, and I'll try to keep my eye over there. First of all, keep in mind that of your tax bill, 60% goes to schools, 30% roughly comes to the Village Park Forest, and the other 10% goes to Cook County, the township, and places like that. The 3% increase is only on the 30% that goes to the Village Park Forest. Now, if you have a $4,000 property tax bill, let's say, in your home, and that's pretty much an average in Park Forest, of that $4,000, how much of it is going to come to the Village of Park Forest? Roughly about $1,200 is going to come to the village out of that $4,000. That $1,200, if you take the fact that 22% of that has to go to fund pensions, we're required by the state to do that. We have no choice on that. 22% of that goes to fund pensions. That leaves us with a little less than $1,000 per resident on a $4,000 household that would in fact be the bill. So how much is the increase? The 33% is on the 1,000, okay? That's an important thing to keep in mind. Secondly, what does that $1,000 do? It provides all your police protection. It provides all of your fire protection. It provides paramedics. It provides for the home health services that our health department does. It pays for the kinds of things that we saw last weekend with the snow removal when we had the blizzard. Now, I don't think that our employees are paid too much. We did about 6 years ago an analysis of the entire Chicagoland area in terms of what Park Forest employees were paid, and in fact, we were not in the upper percentile. We were just barely above the mid-range in all of Chicagoland. And the fact is, you get good employees because you pay good employees. We did have a pay freeze in place for some of our employees for a period of time. We are trying to adjust that so that we can keep good workers and keep them doing the kinds of things that they did last week with the snow removal. And I think they did a darn good job. They deserve every penny that they received.
Thank you, Mr. Ostenburg. I'm going to ask the audience that you not respond with applause or editorial comments, please. But that's what we're here for, just to hear the candidates and move on. Please, thank you. Okay?
Next.
Yes, give me the next step. I'm so sorry about this. Okay, this sounds like a good question, but I'm not sure what this handwriting. It says, what program specifically would you plan on implementing with the, is that CLDR resources and the technology initiative that they want to start in Park Forest? Or is that HL?
I think it's RLD.
That's an RLDR unit.
Okay, thank you. That's Richard L. Dent Enterprises. So,
that's okay.
What Mr. Dent is intending to do, first of all, you should understand that his company has saved the Chicago Public Schools roughly $87 million in energy costs. And he's working with a number of other areas now in addition to the CPS. But His plan is to create a facility in Park Forest. It would be where the old Hollymatic building was. Those of you who go back that far, some of you may remember it as Blue Ridge Farms, but it's there on the corner of North Street and Orchard. The facility is in desperate need of remodeling, and they're putting a lot of money into that. But what they will do is research and development to help businesses and residences reduce their energy consumption so that you save on your energy bill. Now, we believe that, taxes are high. There's no question about that. And that's a deterrent to attracting new business. But if we can save new business by showing them ways that they can actually reduce their energy costs, that can offset whatever they have to pay in taxes. So we can give them incentives without having the homeowners or whoever else. Because remember this, every time you give a tax incentive, somebody is paying that money. And it's the homeowners who are paying it. It's coming out of your pocket. So what we're looking for, and the reason we were so excited when we first had this encounter with Richard Dent, I first met with him last August, is he can provide services that will allow us to attract new businesses by offering them the opportunity to reduce their energy costs and usage if they locate close to his facility in Industrial Park and right along North Street or South Street. So I'm optimistic that that will grow and that will help us attract businesses, and I think also it will, of course, create jobs for individuals. He has pledged that he will use Park Forest businesses, electricians, plumbers, people of that sort, in the remodeling of the building. So we'll put to work some of our local people right away.
Mr. Brown?
I think that Richard Dent will bring resources to Park Forest, and that would be the entire Park Forest, the industrial area, and the downtown. But I just want to hitchhike back on the last question for a second, because it was said that the average tax person is around $3,000, I think. $4,000. This is my tax bill right here, and my first installment is almost $4,000. Now, outside of that, the people that I talk to, I have yet to meet a person who have a $4,000 tax bill. Maybe you all do. I haven't met you yet. The people that I've talked to, I've heard up to an astronomical figure of $15,000. Going back to the pay raise, when you look at Cook County, who we are governed by as well, in Cook County, the president of Cook County just cut 1,000 jobs, did a decrease in salary across the board, and took a $10,000 pay cut herself. So we have to be leaders if we're trying to save this village. This is something that we have to do. We have to take a shot on the chin sometimes. I'm not an advocate at all of taking people's jobs. I know I've been unemployed before. So no, I'm not saying take jobs, but I'm certainly not suggesting that we give a raise to people in this economy where we have the highest taxes. We're going through another 3% increase in taxes. Of course, we shouldn't be giving raises at this time, and that's to save jobs. If we save a point of not giving raises, I guarantee you we'll be able to save jobs and lower taxes.
That was not a question.
Excuse me. Did you write your question down and give it to her? She'll pass it to me. But please, let's keep our editorial comments.
Because I'm nervous as it is, and you're intimidating.
Excuse me?
No, it's that she's intimidating me by it.
Sir, I'll take care of that.
Okay.
Okay, I'll take care of that.
All right.
Okay.
Take care.
How does the village plan to promote the success of the students within Park Forest? Now, you may speak to that.
All right, thank you. I would want a partnership with the school district 227 and 163. I would want to be a third partnership. From my understanding, that the superintendents for those districts already meet on a monthly basis. I would like for Park Forest to be a third partner, and I know that we have to have some type of programs or incentive for students that we share in common. So we get together on a monthly basis, we could come up with strategies how to fulfill those. who's that? U.S. News and World Report ranks Rich East High School among America's best high school. Rich East was recently recognized by the state of Illinois Board of Education and placed on the Illinois Honor Roll. I have not seen that anywhere in Park Forest. Nowhere. The village does not support the achievements of our education system. And I know this, when we have over hundreds of vacant homes in Park Forest, I know my friends and family moved to villages because of school districts. If you have a good school district, you will bring people, just like having businesses, you will bring people to your village. At this time, I don't see where the village is reaching out and showing people, especially real estate people. The real estate people are telling people they have high taxes, but they're not being informed on what Park Forest Village offers as an education. And like I said, I have a sophomore that attends Rich East, and I'm proud of her being on an honor roll since her attendance at Rich East, and I'm proud with the administration at Rich East. And like I said earlier, I'm also a booster member, which is a parent that help project the positivity in the school for the students.
Same question.
Thank you. First of all, the village has in fact promoted the excellence of the schools. The U.S. News and World Report recognition of Rich East, for example, we had a presentation at the board meeting where the principal of Rich East was here. And also it's been circulated in there's a big poster, I believe, out in the hallway, right out here at Village Hall. And we have sent out information that's been on E-News Park Forest, I know. Unfortunately, we don't have a print newspaper that covers our village the way it used to, so it's harder to get some of that information out. It has been on the village website. Now, in terms of working with the school districts, we have invited each of the school districts to, in fact, come to board meetings and announce any of the accomplishments of that school district. Of course, we want to promote them. That's how we draw more business and people to the village of Park Forest. Some of the school districts have met with us more regularly. District 162, we worked with the board and with Dr. Blondine Davis on the creation of their charter school and on other things. They also were recognized. I've been at several recognition ceremonies that District 162 has had. We have worked with the Crete Moniz School District. The village manager and I meet for breakfast with the superintendents and board presidents of some of the various boards at different times. We have a relationship with District 163 where we share the community center and other kinds of things. Our police officers are in the schools as liaisons to the various school districts. And every time there's any kind of an accomplishment, we want to recognize that. Our youth commission recognizes those things, invites the schools to participate in youth commission activities. So can we get more exposure? I wish we could. I wish we could have the Chicago Tribune come out. It's rare that they send a reporter. Occasionally they do, and we'll get a little something in someplace in the paper. But by and large, since the Southtown Star really kind of cut the coverage of our area, they no longer send reporters to board meetings and things of that sort, and people who watch the board meetings or come to board meetings, they see that we are doing that recognition.
Thank you. Would you explain the form of government that we have, that you have in Park Forest, and what is your thought on the mayoral form of government, the city council form of government for Park Forest?
Okay, thank you. We have what is called a council manager form of government. Village government is formed under the state of Illinois, where in fact the village president is mayor. Both titles are interchangeable. For a long time we used only village president, but South Suburban Mayors and Managers uses mayor. Some of the media uses mayor, other groups, so we've kind of gone along with what those groups do and use the term mayor. But it's a council manager form of government. What that means is the village board, the mayor and the 6 trustees, in fact set policy and give directives to the management staff. We hire the manager and we hire the clerk and the attorney. Those are the only direct hires that the board engages in. The manager does the other hiring of the rest of the staff. to the greatest extent possible, under a council-manager form of government, the council is not supposed to interfere with the manager's operation of the government, and we try not to do that unless there are policy issues. We evaluate the manager once a year. The manager is responsible for evaluating his staff, and we hold him accountable to evaluate that staff. So that's the way village government under a council-manager form of government operates. There was a movement some years ago to change the electoral process, and instead of electing 6 trustees at large, it was recommended that we elect aldermen from various wards of the Village of Park Forest. That was turned down by referendum of the voters. And by and large, the reason it was turned down was because in a community of roughly 24,000 people, when you start to segregate things into wards, you're having very small electoral groups that many times are concentrated on a very narrow issue that's not of significance to the entire community. So in the wisdom of the voters, that it was the decision made by the voters, we turned down that attempt to go to an aldermanic form of government and kept our current form. We are a home rule community. Even though we're below the 25,000 automatic trigger for home rule, our residents by referendum voted to be a home rule community, and we have been a home rule community ever since then.
Could you ask me that question again?
Based on the form of government that we have now and the other forms of government, can you elaborate
Yeah, I know
on
that.
which one you think is best for Park Forest?
The council management is a good idea. I'm not an authority. I think we have 5 other branches of government that we could choose from, and I haven't sat down to figure it out. The one that is in play, it should keep everything on a fair basis, because the mayor do not have that much power where, like in Chicago, if you will, where they have that strong arm where they could make decisions and do things. Here in Park Forest, you have a body that sits here, which is the Board of Trustees, and like he said, they make appointments, and then the village manager run the village, if you will. So with that, it seems like it's a fair system. I have not completely dissected to figure out what is the situation and if I would promote it or what I want to demote it. It's something that I need to look into a little bit further.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. What about, this person asked this question, what about partnership with other school districts in the village? Partnerships with other school districts. Park Forest is served by, for a point of information, Park Forest is served by 5 different school districts. So, don't know what the person knew about that, but.
Well, once again, I'll try to answer that question to the best of my ability. Anything that will promote education, getting kids back involved in education, focus on dropout students. I don't know of any district that have 100% graduation. I think Rich East is at about 90%, if I'm not mistaken, and Rich South is about 95. If anyone could, and then there's another district that is around in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken. Anyone that have any advice or know a better situation that we could, where we could perform better, I'm all for it. It don't even have to be a neighboring district. It could be an out-of-state district. If we could do anything for a better performance of the students, I'm willing to reach out.
Thank you, Mayor. We do have 5 school districts, just so everybody understands. District 163, which is in the downtown, covers the main area of the village and covers part of Chicago Heights. There's the Stager school system that has a little segment of the southeast corner. Creek Monee School District is in the south. District 162 in the north, and then the Rich Township High School District overlaps the Rich Township portion, and actually the Bloom Township portion too, of the community. And then we have Prairie State College District 515, that's over the top of that. So, but the question was working with school districts, and I just want to, I got to talk real fast, but I want to get something, make you aware of something that we're working on right now. We will have the second meeting this week. When I was working for the Chicago Teachers Union, I became aware of a school in the city of Chicago that's called Austin Polytech. And I would suggest that any of you go on the website and look at it. Austin Polytech was given to the Chicago Manufacturing Renaissance Council to in fact create what they call a performance school. It's not a charter school, it's a performance school. And the whole purpose of this school is to take young people and not to teach them just trades, but to teach them the opportunity for trade, for management, for entrepreneurial, so that they can in fact move into the creation of light business. A heavy emphasis at Austin Polytech is on preparing a workforce to deal with the new sustainability issues and demands that are coming with light manufacturing. Dovetails really with what Richard Dent is doing. About 3 weeks ago, I asked a group of about 7 mayors to come to a meeting here in Park Forest with the representatives of Austin Polytech, and we had our first discussion about how we might be able to work with the various school districts to create a cooperative, in effect, like the special education cooperatives, that would work to train young people, not just in trade, but trade, management, entrepreneurialism, so that they can be on the cutting edge and create a viable workforce in our area. I think that's the kind of innovative programs we need to do more of with our school districts.
Most of our questions have been addressed at one form or another, so as moderator, I reserve the right to not be repetitive. What plans would you have for this deteriorating infrastructure in Park Forest?
Do I go first? Thank you. Well, that's a major problem. That's what I tried to address before about the water lines. The Park Forest soil is in fact a very corrosive kind of soil. And as a result of that, we do have some very significant problems with both water and sewer lines, the infrastructure of our village. Back when Trustee Kramer and I were on the board back in the 80s, the board had actually made a decision to create a fund, like a rainy day fund, to start to address those problems. Whatever happened, when I got back on the board in 1997, that fund was no longer there. So that's part of what we're trying to create right now. A portion of what you pay in your water bill payment, in fact, goes into a fund that is there specifically for the purpose of addressing infrastructure. Because we have sewer lines that are no longer even pipes. It is just simply an open space in the ground where the crud that's built up, the grease, etc., keeps the flow, but in fact those lines have to be completely replaced. Now somebody has to pay for that, obviously, and that's why when we talk about taxes, that's expensive. But I want you to keep one other thing in mind, and that's the fact that over the course of the last 5 or 6 years, we have brought in $25 million of federal and other grant funds to address problems like sewer replacement, water line replacement, street light replacement, those infrastructure needs. We are, in fact, getting federal dollars. Congressman Jackson has been wonderful with us in helping us. So not all the burden falls on the taxpayers because we are getting assistance, but federal money is tight also. So, and the big thing is usually you have to have some matching funds in order to get the federal funds. So if we don't have a pot of money here that we can say we can match, they're not going to necessarily give us the federal dollars. So it's really kind of a combination of efforts, but we do have a plan. It's part of our 1 and 5 year plan. It is presented at the board level. The board deals with this in our discussions of goals and things of that sort.
As far as the infrastructure, I believe every city and village have funding for that, especially in case of emergency, and there are always emergency funds for that. hitchhiking back on what the mayor said earlier about the water being 9 cents, was it a gallon?
Well, that's been 0.191 cent per gallon.
Right.
Less than 1 penny.
Which that's really good, but at the same time, we get awards for water being the cleanest, I think they said, in the nation or close to that, but we still have to buy bottled water. So something is not right with that picture. In my household, when we turn on our water, it starts off brown and then it clears up. And I just watched my daughter on Facebook where the kids they were sending messages back and forth on Facebook, say they itch when they take showers. So once again, this is something that I haven't completely finished investigating, and until I do, I would just like to hold off on further response for that.
How do you plan to promote disability services in Park Forest? Mr. Brown.
Disability services, as far as, I guess they're asking about access for certain things for disability people. I'm trying to figure out where do we have a situation. I know at Freedom Hall we have disability accessibility, but at the same token, if you need to get to the second floor, it'll be a problem there. Here at Village Hall, you have a elevator for people who are disabled. I'm trying to think of other public places in Park Forest that people visit that we would need ability for handicapped people to be able to visit. And I really can't think of too many other things that we have to offer. The ITC, the Illinois Theater Center, they also are accessible for people that are handicapped. Outside of that, I really can't think of any other places. Our stores, Walgreens and CVS, are accessible. So I don't think it's that much money or need for accessibility in Park Forest. There's not that many public places that are open that is not already prepared for that need.
Thank you.
Well, the ADA requirements, of course, have to be met by all of our public buildings, and we make that effort to do that. It's easier when you're doing new construction than it is sometimes to convert old construction, because it's just awkward in some cases to expand bathroom facilities, for example, in some old construction. But certainly all the new construction that takes place, everything is handicap accessible, and we have made efforts here at Village Hall with the automatic doors and things, and some of the other locations. The other thing that we need to do more of, and we have worked in the past with the public transportation systems. Certainly our Jolly Trolley is accessible for individuals with disabilities, but we need to do more in terms of public transportation that allows for individuals to make use of that transportation. I mean, one of the things that I think is very ironic, for example, is over at the Madison train station, the Park Forest parking lot, we had a ramp years ago that we put in. Problem was, Metro had steps when you got inside, so it didn't do any good if you went up the ramp. We finally had to put a sign there telling people this is not handicap accessible because we had a ramp, but they had steps. So there are things that have to be addressed in terms of public transportation to give individuals a better opportunity. I would like to see, for example, a way that we could have a better public transportation access to the train station for individuals who want to take the train downtown. They can go to the 211th Street station. That is handicap accessible. But if we had public transportation that would allow individuals to get there more readily, I think that could be very beneficial. The final thing, though, and it's very important, our Park Forest Health Department does work very closely with individuals who are homebound, sometimes because of physical disabilities, sometimes because of other health problems, to help them deal with some of those things. And of course, we have the taxi coupons and all of those kinds of things that also, but all of that, we need to do more. We have an aging society. we need to do more that will allow individuals to have greater access to everything that's public.
Thank you. We're going to move into the closing statement.